All right, I'm Lynette Solis,
I'm Sandra McGarrah.
and we're back for our Celebrate and Elevate. I was going to say elaborate. um, so, Sandra, what I really enjoyed about your presentation was the fact that you used this model here. And when you designed it the same way, starting with the level one at the bottom and then going up all the way to the level four. I thought that was really smart on your design part. I really liked that you spent a lot of time explaining and elaborating what each different level is and how they kind of relate.
Mhm.
And then for your 5-step UFE, I liked that you identified the two essential elements and then the 5 criteria that were important. And what I really liked was your return on investment. I think your document design was really well done and put together, and your thought processes in your questions.
Right.
Um,
I had to kind of think about it, and that's what I think Dr. Elwood wanted us to do, was to synthesize what we had read. And so I felt like that's what I had done with this.
yeah, I think you did a really good job.
Thank you.
Um, I really don't have any elevating, um, except for Prezi is kind of funky on stuff.
I
You
know.
move into like this purple one is just a little bit
Yeah,
outside,
yeah.
and the pink one,
I
that's
was
it.
having a little
And
bit
it's
of
because
trouble with this. And
yeah,
this extra yellow, I haven't yet to figure out how I can make that one smaller and have the other one larger. But I will
I
figure
think
it
it's a good divide between your two subjects.
out. Okay.
So I think it's fine. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, I have 5 domains of learning. I forgot that one. I'll talk about it right here, I guess, so that she knows that I completely forgot about 5 domains of learning. That was the third one. We'll look at this real quick. I'll let you scroll down just a little bit, and I'll talk about it, and then you can discuss it. So it started in the 70s with Peter Rossi. And I put the 5 domains on here because, again, they start from the bottom up. So then you have assessment of need for a program, assessment of program design and theory, assessment of program process and implementation, assessment of program outcome and or impact, an assessment of program cost and efficiency, which this one gets more into the ROI versus the other 2 models. Can you scroll down just a little bit? Okay, this started in the 70s from Rossi. It includes modifying evaluation questions, methods, and procedures and nature of the evaluator or your evaluator to the stakeholder relationship. Those evaluation questions are the foundation for this particular model. And that's how your evaluation develops, from the questions that you create. And I think maybe that was why we did questions for the ROI, that it kind of ties in with this. It says it's really key to the stakeholders and the evaluator. They construct a clear and collaborative set of evaluation questions. Okay, so they start from the bottom up again. So if you go down to domain 1, so the first one is assessment. And then you have to define the gap between what is and what should be. You're trying to bring that gap together. And the evaluation question for this domain, a question that might be asked is there a need for this type of program in this context? And that would be a question that you would answer to see if your training module is going where it needs to go. Domain 2 is is the evaluation domain. The second evaluation domain is theory assessment. And the question that would be asked there is the program conceptualized in a way that it should work? And the theory and research are used to determine what content should be delivered and what is the most effective way to deliver it. Domain 3 is implementation. It's a process, the program process and implementation. It centers around the program's function and delivery, or its process to verify that the program was delivered in the way it was intended. So I like this 5 ways also. I agree with a lot of what they're saying here. The question here was this program implemented properly and according to plan? Which, if your stakeholders and your evaluator go back and you talk about this, you could get some very good data that would be authentic. Domain 4, the 4th evaluation domain is outcome and impact assessment. An outcome refers to a change in knowledge, attitude, skills, behaviors, practices, or conditions. And impact refers to determining whether it was the program being evaluated that caused the outcomes documented. And the question for this one is, did this program achieve its desired outcomes and have an impact on its intended targets? Are they using this in the workplace from what they've learned? The very last one is the assessment of program cost and efficiency is your ROI. Efficiency assessment. Do the benefits of the program justify the cost? Or is the program cost effective? And that was your final thing that you do. If you're an instructional designer, you'll go back and figure out if it was worth the while, worth the cost to implement this program. So that was my last one.
So amazing job. I really like this one, especially because this is something I can relate to at work. We usually, anytime that we come up with an idea of something that needs to be done, we're always asked, like, what is the need? Okay, what is your design? And most of the time it's, okay, what is the cost and what is the value in it? So a lot of the time we're having to assess.
This one includes that, the others don't, and I like this. And I like this model. I think Kirkpatrick was just stuck in my mind because it was the first one that I reviewed and I liked it. And so I kind of was being biased to it, but this one has a lot more the domains I think I would use more. I think I would follow this one
This
better.
is what I use, the type of process we usually use where I work, because we do have to ask ourselves a lot of the time, like, does this training affect any of our other departments? How many people does it impact? Is it one department? Is it multiple? Is it the whole organization? And is this cost effective? So is it cost effective for us to have in-person training every day, all day? Or is it more cost effective to minimize this, have a virtual training where we have hour slots that people can join? So, I mean, this type of model is used a lot more in corporate world.
That's good to know. I'm glad I know that. So I did learn a lot from this. Of the 3, I think Kirkpatrick, though, was just stuck in my mind, and then I did the ROI, and so I forgot about the 5 domains. But that's a good one also.
Yeah.
So now I want to talk about yours. I was very, very impressed. I always learn a lot when I listen to these presentations, because I always take something back with me. And so the first thing was about learning analytics, and then you tied that right into work, and so that you do analyzing at work. And so a lot of this made a lot of sense to you because of what you do every day. And the purpose of the data that's being collected is about the learners, and you're trying to determine or ascertain where they need to start and where they're deficient and where could they improve. And we were talking about that, and you actually do that at your job. So that makes a lot of sense to me, that now I kind of understand more that what you're doing there. Learning analytics, the process, you talked about these 3, about collect, analyze, and intervene. There was a picture of it. And that really resonated with me. I understood that with that picture. I think pictures help me a lot to have those, that visualization, because I can remember the picture and then I can see the three things that were listed there. You did a great job of describing them. I completely understood what you were talking about. Did a great job. You always do a great job presenting. So you're an excellent presenter. And I get a lot from what you do every time. And one of the things you said that really stuck with me also was that culture's hard to analyze. And we kind of discussed that the demographics between, say, here and maybe Sam Houston State, their demographics may be completely different than what we have at A&M TAMU CC. So that made a lot of sense to me too. The data is going to be a little bit different. You talked about project management. And I like these 4 leadership styles. I wrote this down because this made a lot of sense to me. It's the Hershey and Blanchard of leadership styles. And it was supporting, delegating, directing, and coaching. And you showed at the bottom these 4 domains about how one could be not know so much, but they're willing to invest in it. And that would be a good person to work. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, the one that's highly motivated and they really know the stuff, they know the information or how to do the job, that would be another person that would be very good to work. So determining that, with that, you can really objectively be able to hire somebody based on those 4 things. You can kind of interview them and get the information and know where they're at on that spectrum. So that made a lot of sense to me. You talked about the 10 project traits, project management traits. And one of the things we had kind of talked about before we started videotaping was about delegation, that you're not delegating at all in this project management, that there's no delegating, but it does say the ability to delegate, that if you needed to do it, you could, but it's not necessary. If it's not necessary, don't do it. And I really like that picture also, because it had the arrows and it just talked about all these leadership traits that if you're a leader, you need to know those. That's what you need to learn and memorize those and apply those to what you're doing as an instructional designer. So, and one of the other things you said that resonated with me, I never thought about this. We're going to be project managers. We may have the title instructional designer, but we're also going to be project managers. So that makes a lot of sense to me. That one, and you said one of the biggest parts of project management is communication. And I totally agree with that. Communication has to be the basis for everything. If you're not communicating well, people don't know what they're doing, they don't understand, and they go off in a different direction. So that clear communication is imperative to make sure the project goes correctly. And then the last thing that I think this was my favorite, I like this, was that virtual project management. That gets me excited though about, what the wave that's coming is that we're global now. We're not just in our little area. Like I'm not just in Dallas, you're not just in Corpus Christi. We could work for a company overseas and we're an employee of theirs, and maybe we're instructional designer or project manager, but we're working for that company, but we're living where we're living. So I just think that's something.
Yeah, we actually do a lot of virtual stuff for my job just because we have clinics in Victoria. We have clinics out in McAllen and
Brownsville area.
all of that area. And so we have directors out there who I have to collaborate with to create trainings. And so we do a lot of virtual meetings and back and forth. We actually just got Teams and implemented Teams, Microsoft Teams. Yeah. And so it's a little bit easier to communicate that way because you can create chats, you can, pass the documents back and forth, and it's not getting lost in a bunch of emails because everything's all in one spot.
That's wonderful.
So it's
really coming a long way. I feel like I've come a long way just in the last year. So you inspire me. I really like working with you. You just I get excited when I know I'm going to hear what you have to say because I know I'm going to learn something. So I really did learn
Working
something.
with you.
And we also talked about using a Scribber, and I'm going to use Nearpod. And we talked about certifications, which, you know more than I do because you're really working out there in the workforce. So I appreciate all your comments and anything of advice you can give me. It's great. So I think we had a real good week this week.
I think we did too. And thank you for working with me this week.
Oh,
I
you're very
really, I
welcome.
really
Thank
needed your
you.
support.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. And I'm going to end.